And then the third reason that I wanted to share this topic is because I love hearing the background of how somebody got successful. And the reason I'm so passionate about this is because people don't share, like they don't tell you what they actually did. And it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Like they'll say, oh, I did this, or I got this success, or this happened to me. But they either were not paying attention when they were doing it, and so they don't know how they did it, or they just don't want to share it because they're ashamed of how they started, or they think that it'll, minimize their credibility or whatnot. Like I have always been from the start, like as soon as I started my business, I was like, as soon as I learn something, I'm going to learn it. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to teach it. And I'm always going to share exactly where I started. And that's what I've been doing since the start of my business. And honestly, I think that's part of my success and part of my appeal, which is that I'm not going to hold anything back. Like I am going to share with you exactly how something works. And if it didn't work for me, I'll tell you that also. So I want to share with you, the start of the business. And when I say zero, like I literally mean $0. So this business that I have right now is a brand new business that I started in 2015. So the end of 2015 was when I started my coaching / consulting business. And so even that, I need to get really honest with you about how I started that. Hey, Wendy. Yeah, exactly. You want all the tea. Yes, I'm going to give it to you. So when I first started, and I got to back up just a little bit more before I go into like the coaching consulting part, because the very first business that I started was actually a multi-level marketing. When I was in college, I joined a multi-level marketing company, and I was like, I'm going to be the one person that succeeds. Like I'm going to be the diamond, platinum, whatever. And I got started in it. I started doing cold calls because my upline sponsor was like, if you don't have friends and family, do cold calls. And I didn't. So I started doing cold calls. I remember like I did a cold call and I got one person signed up and I was so excited. And then I guess she was kind of confused as to what she was signing up for, which now that I think back, like it makes sense because the script that we were pitching was all geared towards the fact that Danny Glover was in the MLM. So we were like, you got to get in it because Danny Glover is in it. And it's just like, it's a little ridiculous now that I think back on it. But that was like essentially my first business, right? Then from there, I quit that business, meaning like I stopped paying the monthly fee for the product that I was getting. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to try to become a CEO of a regular company. My goal has always been to be an owner, be a business owner, be an entrepreneur. I don't know if this is the same for you, but for me, I always knew like I saw myself as an owner of a business. I didn't know what business at the time, but I knew that that's where I was going. That's where I was headed. So I was just like, okay, I'm just going to work my way up in the corporate world. Join the corporate world and realize that it just was not for me. So the next thing that I did, hi, Jimana, welcome. The next thing that I did was I started a blog. And this blog, it's still live. You can still go to it. It's Young Finances. That's the website that I started. It had a couple of names before it ended up being Young Finances. But that was essentially my like second business. I won't say success, but my second business. And that one it saw some success in that it actually generated revenue. I was earning from that around $1,500 a month. I was at the peak around $1,500 a month, which was a combination of, I had a course, a small course that was like $7, I think. I had a course, I had ads on the site. I was doing brand deals and sponsorship deals. And that also included some freelance writing. So some brand freelance writing deals and then some just regular freelance writing deals while I was writing for other sites. But for the most part, the writing that I was doing was a result of people wanted to have an article from LaTisha of Young Finances to write for their site. So like I said, at the peak, that was generating like $1,500 a month. And that's good. Like that's decent side hustle income, right? Like how many of us would like an extra $1,500 a month? If it's extra, like that's pretty nice. You can do some pretty cool things with that. But the problem with that business is that the business model wasn't quite right. It it had that moderate success, but the business model was based on selling other people's stuff. Like my course was 5%, maybe, if that, 1 to 2% of the income. The rest of the income was coming from, you know, selling other people's stuff. So like affiliate deals and ads. And so what happened with that is that one day, one of the brands that I was working with that was generating like $1,000 of that 1,500, they contacted me, they sent an email and they were like, hey, we're no longer allowing people to advertise. We're only allowing certain people to advertise our credit cards. Therefore, if you have any links to our credit cards, any content that's pointing to our cards, you need to pull everything down because those links will no longer work and we won't be paying out any additional commissions. And at that point, like I was devastated because, and I didn't share this in the story, but I had quit my job to try to take the blog full time. And I remember leaving my job and being like, okay, I'm at 1,500. If I just give it more time, I can write more. I can bring more people in. And in no time, I'll be up to $5,000 a month because that was my goal, right? $5,000 a month. And when I got that email from the brand and like immediately $1,000 of that income went away, I was like, okay, well now I'm at $500 a month. Like this is, and I don't have a job anymore. So it's not even extra income. It's just like, it's nothing. And at that point I had already gotten married. Like I didn't share kind of the personal part of the story, but I had already gotten married. And so my husband was like, hey, I love you. And when you hear I love you and not like I love you, but like I love you and you got to get a job. And I remember like we went back and forth on that because I was like, I don't need a job. Like I'm going to make my business work. I'm going to be successful. Like I had this vision of myself. Like I knew I would be successful. And he was like, well, there's nothing wrong with you working your job and like still working on your blog. Like just do both. And I didn't want to do both because I felt like I didn't want one foot out, one foot in. Like I wanted to be all in. And I fought so long to try to stay self-employed. And finally, like there was just so much tension and stress at home that I was just like, fine, I'll get a job. And I kind of did it like rebelliously, like, fine, if you want me to get a job, like I'll get a job. And so I did. I got a job. We were living in Memphis at the time and I got a full-time job and it just like, it sucked the life, like the living, like everything out of me. Because at that point, I had already been like, quote unquote, self-employed for, I think it was like a year. And so I had gotten into my routine of like waking up when I wanted, going to Target in the middle of the day, like setting my own schedule. So I was no longer in a 9 to 5 routine. And so when I had to go back to the corporate world and take on a job, it just really like, it crushed me. It crushed my enthusiasm. It crushed my spirit. It made me really feel like I was really down and I cried going to work. Like the very first day I cried, the second day I cried, the third day I cried, like the first 3 days I cried in the car on the way because I felt like I had given up on myself. I felt like I failed. And I was at work. And not only did I like not like the job, but it was one of those jobs where it's like literally just like you're just someone in a factory, basically. Like I wasn't in a factory, but I was in a paper pushing factory, basically. So I was working for an insurance company using my finance degree, and the work sucked. It really did. I didn't really care for my coworkers. Like I didn't like, there was nothing exciting about being there except for the fact that I was getting a paycheck every 2 weeks. And so I really kind of stayed in that like down and depressed state for a good couple of weeks, to be honest. And then finally, I started doing what I was doing at my other job, which was going on the internet. So I started getting on the internet, Facebook, reading blogs, and I started reading about people who had made it. And that's why I want to share this story with you. But, I started reading about people who had made it, who had done it, who were, living their best life online. And what kept coming up for me was like, don't try to start a business where you have to sell other people's stuff, which is what I did the first 2 times with the MLM and with the personal finance blog. Sell your own skills. And I was like, well, I don't have any skills. Like, what skills do I have? I don't know. All I have is a finance degree. I don't really know what I can offer. But that thought just kind of stuck with me. And it's when I think about it now, like my mindset is just in a completely different place now than it was back then. Because what I would say to myself today is, but if you did have a skill, what skill would that be? Like, that's the question that I would ask myself. Even when you don't know the answer, you do know the answer, and you can just ask your higher self, like, but if you did know, what would it be? And so I just kind of kept that in mind, like, oh, okay, I need a skill, but I don't really have a skill. Maybe I can learn a skill. And so there was a course that I ended up buying. The course was $2,000. And I didn't have $2,000. I was barely making that in each check. So I chose the payment plan, which was like $196 a month or something like that. And so I paid the payment plan option every single month. And in that course, one of the assignments was to write down every single thing that you're good at. And I think I still have, let me pull it up on my computer. You guys still with me? Oh yeah, I see a bunch of people here. Hello. Okay. I'm going to have to search. Let's see. Oh, anyway, so the assignment, here it is. The assignment was, what are you good at? Oh my gosh. Okay. I found it. I found it. I'm very, very excited. Okay. Let me share this with you guys. Exactly. There is creativity in all of us. So the course was like, write down everything that you're good at. What do your friends say that you're good at? And what are your best qualities? So I'm actually let me see if I can share this without sharing all of the notes. I don't know if I can do that. Let me see. I think I can screen share. Okay. It's not going to be very big. All right. Hopefully you guys can see that. It's going to be really, really small. And if I take myself away, it'll go away. But you can kind of get an idea of all the things I wrote down. So I was like creating videos, editing videos. So that's what I was doing for Young Finances. Recording and shooting videos, presentation, freelance writing, batch cooking, paying off debt, working with children, Spanish, being a wife, patience, learning quickly, eczema care, SEO, I'm a baker, I'm networking. Like, I literally wrote, when I say everything, like everything. Hi, Sasha. Everything. Okay. And so I didn't just like half do the assignment. It said write everything, and I wrote everything. And once I did that, what happened was I realized that I had a lot of things that I could do. But the way that I fell into what I'm doing now is because I actually had a friend contact me. So as I was going through that, and this note is from August 10th, 2015. So this was 2 months before I started my business, right? So as I was going through this, I had a friend to reach out to me. So this was someone who I had interned for him in college, and he reached out and he said, "Hey, LaTisha, how's everything going?" And I was like, "Yeah, everything's great. What's going on with you?" We did like a little catch up, and he said, "Hey, I'm starting a new business and I need some help. I know that you do blogging," right? Because he saw me doing my personal finance blog. "I know you do blogging. And so I'm interested, and I think I need some blogs. I need something for my website. I need, this, that, and the other." And I said, okay, cool. I was like, "Yeah, I can help you." And my first thought was, Just tell him what to do. Like, it's so easy, right? Your skill comes easily to you. I was like, it's so easy. You just write a blog, you do some research, you edit it, you put it on WordPress. Like, it's easy. Like, I'll just tell him. And then there was a still small voice, right? There was something that said, why would you tell him what to do when you could just do it for him? And if you do it for him, you can just charge him. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Okay, let's do that instead. So I was like, I contacted him back and I said, yeah, I'm happy to help you. I can tell you what to do, or if you'd like, I can just do it for you. I know how to write blogs. I can research the content that you need, and we can put everything on your website and do it that way. And he was like, okay, great, let's do it. And I was like, oh, okay, I got a client. Okay, what do I do? And I remember I went to Google and I typed in how to write a proposal. And I found this website that had a downloadable proposal you could fill out. And so I downloaded it, I edited it, and it was so like formal. It's like Financial Success Media. That's the name of my LLC. It's like Financial Success Media will perform these tasks for the client. And it is of the utmost essence that the client get back to. And it was very, like if I were to look at it right now, I would be like, okay, yeah, you got that online. Like no one needs to really talk like that. Right. Yeah. Carla, I bet if you start writing and like literally just write everything, you'll find stuff. Like I put on here, I'm good at caring. And I care about my clients. I also put on here, I'm good at phone etiquette, even though I didn't spell it right. I'm a good listener. I'm always smiling. I'm always positive. So like you just start listing things. I guarantee you, if you just start writing, your list will be long. Okay. Yeah. So I got my client, and so I got the proposal. I put the proposal together and I sent it off to him, and I said, okay, great. It's going to be, $800 a month. And I remember thinking like, wow, like if he pays me $800, like I was doing the math in my head. I was like, if he pays me $800 a month, then that's enough for me to even like just take a leap, and maybe I can leave my job. So he signed up. He was like, okay, great, let's do it. And I was like, ooh. So I went to my husband. So this is the part that I don't think I've ever shared this before, but I went to my husband and I was like, okay, babe, I really don't like this job. And I was like, I said, I have this client, and I said, I can get 2 more clients. Like if I get 2 more clients, then, that will cover at least my expenses, right? Because we're doing our finances like separate but equal. So we're essentially splitting household and then our own personal finances, our personal expenses. We pay for that from like our own paycheck. So like I didn't really have a whole lot of personal expenses. I didn't even have a gym membership at the time. So my only expenses were like half of the rent, right? And utilities. And we had gotten a house in Tennessee, very inexpensive. So I think like my total half of everything was like $800 or something like that, 800 or 900. It wasn't a lot. And so he was like, okay, fine, but just don't lose that client. And I was like, okay, I won't, I promise. And I was like, man, I'm leaping. Like I was so excited. And I just remember the feeling of being like, yes, like this is it. This is the time it's going to work. Like I'm not going back. I am going to make this work no matter what. Like, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. That was my thought. I was like, I don't care what I have to do. I don't care. I will do what I have to do. Whatever I have to do, I will do it. I'm not going back to a job. And it was like when I made that declaration to the universe and I was like, yes, this is it. This is going to happen. I feel like that was when the ball started rolling. Okay. Yes. Dalnita says the perfect topic for me today. And let me tell you why. Let me tell you why I felt like the ball started rolling for me. Because at that point, what I decided to do was not even look at what is not going right. The only thing I focused on, I was like, I'm just going to keep focusing on what is going right. Okay. I'm just going to focus on what's going right. And I'm just going to keep doing more of that. What's going right. Okay. Right. Chantel, that was my thought. You can just pay me. I'll do it for you. Okay, Regina wants to know how many blogs did I write for him per month. I think I wrote like two. So 2 blogs a month, and then I managed. So the total package that I gave him was 2 blogs a month. I managed his website, like the WordPress plugins, which is like I said, it's not hard. Like when you are good at something, that's what you're going to keep saying. You're going to be like, but this is so easy. It's so easy. It's so easy. But a lot of people don't know a thing about WordPress plugins or whatever your thing is, right? So I managed his site, the WordPress plugins, make sure nothing broke or, everything was fine with that. And then I did like his Twitter. So like after I would write a blog, I would put it on his Twitter account, like really, really simple stuff for me anyways. And so like I said, I took the leap and I was like, okay, great. This is what we're doing. Like all in, both feet in. This is what we're doing. So from there, I was like, all right, I need to get 2 more clients or I need to get him at a higher rate. And so I chose the latter. So I went back to him. This was after a couple months of us working together. And I was like, hey, how are you liking, our work together? And he said, yeah, things are going great. I really like it. And I said, well, there's some other things that I want to do for you. I think we can do this and we can do that. And I created like a new package and bumped him up to $2,500 a month. So at that point I was set because I was spending my, 800, 900-ish for household. And the rest of it was like some for taxes and some for me, like I actually had money for me and I felt really good. And then I was like, okay, good. But like, I'm never going to be dependent on just one client again, right? Remember what I was saying earlier where I had that brand deal or that one brand that was a large chunk of income. And I was like, never again. I will never have one person, one brand, anybody in control of my income. And if they cut it off and I'm done, like it's not happening. Right. So at that point I was like, okay, so I need to either get other clients or I have to figure out some other ways to make money. But I didn't 100% know what to do. And so that was when I was like, all right, well, I need to hire somebody because if I hire a coach, they're going to help me. They're going to tell me what to do. They're going to show me like what I'm not able to see right now. Like I don't want to be in a position where I was last time where I thought I could do it all myself and I didn't ask anyone for help and I ended up falling flat on my face. So I hired a coach. I invested in her mastermind. It was $8,000 for the mastermind. And I was able to do monthly payments. So it broke down to like, I think it was like $800 a month for about 10 months, something like that. It was like $7,000 if you paid in full. But I had to do the payment plan. Again, I just chose the payment plan. I just decided to get in where I fit in. I didn't really care. So from there, what I decided to do is started working with the coach and she started helping me with the nuts and bolts of how to start a consulting business, how to get consulting clients. And as I was going through that, I started just doing webinars and trainings because I really enjoyed teaching what I had learned. Like I'm a teacher at heart and this is what I do full time now. I'm essentially a teacher. But I really enjoy teaching. So what I decided to do was I decided to just do trainings. So I did my first video training for the people who were on my email list. At the time, there were 0 people on my list because I had the personal finance blog list, but it was all personal finance people. So I didn't just move them over when I started my consulting / course-based, coaching style business. I just started with a new email list. And so I had some friends on Facebook. So I was like, hey guys, I'm going to do a training on affiliate marketing because when I had my personal finance blog, I did some affiliate marketing and I made some good money with it. So if you guys still have a blog and you want to learn how I did it, then come to my training. It's only $47. And I had 6 people take me up on that offer. I made $282. I think it was a 6. I know for a fact it was $282. Let's see, divide by 47. Yep, it was 6 people. And that's how I got my first 6 email subscribers on my list. So when you go to the landing page for Create and Fill and you read through the story and it says, I started my coaching business with 6 email subscribers. Those were the 6 email subscribers. They came from a workshop that I did on affiliate marketing. And after I did that workshop, I was like, wow, that was so much fun. I got paid. I made $282 for an hour worth of work. Meanwhile, I was working with this client and it was like more time and more stress. And I was like, oh, I love teaching. So why don't I just teach what I know? Like I can just teach what I know. And so what I decided to do, and this is how I built my coaching business, I did a free workshop. And on the free workshop, I would tell people about the second half, which was the paid workshop. So I would say, if you enjoyed this and you want the next part, come to the paid workshop. And the paid workshop was $27, $47, $25, $30. I think I did one for $35 one time. And I started teaching myself ads. I started learning how to do ads. And so I would do like little ads and, tell people about the workshops. And eventually I grew a list and people started asking me, well, how are you doing what you're doing? So it's kind of meta, I guess, because I've always been a teacher of my own success, even if at the time it might even just be a limited success. Like I've just always taught what I know for myself and what I've learned. And so if that's you, if you're like, well, I don't know if I'm good enough yet to teach what I know because I'm not here, right? I'm only here. The person who wants to learn from you is usually only 1 or 2 steps ahead of you. And so it's important to not wait, like don't hoard your gift and don't wait until you think you're at a point where you're ready to share. Like just start sharing right away. Don't keep it away. And so that's what I did. Whatever I knew, I just taught it and the things that I was learning. And I'm really good with tech. So I would teach the tech that I knew and I would just do a free workshop and then a paid workshop. And eventually I was like I was talking to my coach and she was like, and I decided to do a coaching program, an 8-week coaching program. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do an 8-week coaching program and it's going to be $800. And I just like plucked that number out of the air. But what it represented for me was it represented 8 hours of work versus the client that I was working with, the consulting client that I was working with, that was more than 8 hours of work. So I was like, okay, $100 an hour. He's paying me like $25 an hour ish. So I'm giving myself a raise automatically. And so I booked 3 coaching clients. I did a training, a joint training with a friend of mine. And at the end of the training, I offered a phone call. I didn't sell anything on the training. I just offered a phone call. I got on phone calls with like 5 or 6 people, I think, and I booked 3 clients. And from those 3 clients, let me know if it's frozen for anybody else. From those 3 clients, I made $2,400. And I was like, all right, this feels really good. And I was working with clients and helping them with their business and their tech and all sorts of stuff. And I went to my coach and she was like, okay, great job. Now double your rates. And I was like, but I'm charging $800. Like that's already a lot for me. Do I need to? And this is the importance of like working with a coach, with someone who knows, not like knows more than you, because you know deep down inside what you should be doing, but who can be that confidence for you and can see beyond for you. Right? Okay, good. It's not frozen. Okay, good. So when she told me to double my rates, I was like, okay, fine. Like, I'm not going to just jump to 1,600. Let's just do 2,000. And I actually shared this full story on YouTube, how I manifested my first high ticket coaching client. And so I changed my rates to $2,000. The very next client that I spoke to, when I, did the pitch, I was like, okay, it's $2,000. And I like just closed my mouth and waited for the response. And the response was, okay, I need to speak with my spouse, but, I definitely, I think I want to do it. So I was like, okay, great. And they got back to me and they were like, yeah, let's do it. They had to do a payment plan. So it was like full circle for me, thinking about how like I had to do payment plans for my first coaches and they had to do a payment plan for me. And it just felt really good. And at that point, I was like the ball just kept rolling. Like I didn't pay attention to anything. Like I just kept going. I was like, okay, what are we doing next? What worked? What did I not enjoy? Not like what didn't work, but what wasn't fun for me? And so I realized that what was fun for me was creating videos, hosting trainings, doing live trainings. What wasn't fun for me was doing sales calls. So I was like, I don't want to keep doing sales calls, but I kept doing them. I kept having conversations with people. And I realized that like the process that I had started creating over the next, couple of months that led me to my first $5,000 month, and then my first 5-figure month, and then now onto multiple 6-figure business. That process was what I just continued to teach. So like I said, don't hold it back. Whatever, because as you start teaching something, you learn it better for yourself, and then you can continue to improve it. And then not only your existing clients will get better results, but clients that you continue to book from here on out will continue to get great results. And so eventually I got to the point where, it's September 2020. In 2019, in February, I got the inspiration to create a program to talk about how I started my coaching business, my coaching and consulting business. And if you guys have seen this video, let me, I don't have it in front of me. When I first started the business, I decided to do like a video journal. And I'm very, very glad that I did. I only kept up with it for like 3 or 4 days. But the very first part of that journal was me saying, my name is LaTisha Styles. And you can even see like my teeth hadn't been, like I didn't get my braces yet. It's like my teeth are still crooked. And I was like, I'm starting my new business. And this was October. It was November 2015. And I said, I'm so happy and thankful that I'm now depositing $10,000 per month in my bank account. And I remember when I said it, it felt nice to say it, but it was kind of like, you know how like you say something that you kind of know isn't true, but you want it to be true. And that's really what that was for me. Like it was something that I wanted to be true. And I was like, I don't care if this woo-woo stuff works or it doesn't work. Like, I'm just going to say it. And I did. I spoke it into existence. And like less than 6 months later, I had my first $11,000 month. And it wasn't $10,000 in my personal bank account, but it was $8,000 of profit. And like since then, honestly, like my life and my business has really just been a matter of me deciding and choosing what I want and then getting all of my energy behind it. Like once you commit and you say, I'm going to do it no matter what, I don't care what is in my way. Like I'm just going to do what I need to do. Once you commit, it's like everything, like the whole universe starts working for you. That book I really love. If you haven't read it, it's called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And in the book, it's about a kid on a journey, but it's really not. It's really about you on your own journey of achievement and how when you choose and decide what you want, everything starts working for you, but you got to be committed to that. And that's really what my business and my life has been about. It's just me continually deciding, like, what do I want? What do I want? Like, not what do they have? Not what do I see this person doing that's working well for them? Like, what do I want? And continuing to choose, what do I want? How do I want my life to be? Like, what am I creating? What am I doing today? Like, what is it that I want for myself? That has really been like, that's the story of my life. If I were to write like my life story, the story of my life is like, LaTisha, what do you want? And getting clear on what I want and just being okay with being okay with choosing what I want, even though it's not what is expected of me to have or what other people have, or like just really kind of putting myself first in a lot of cases. And I see this a lot with my clients sometimes where a lot of times I work with clients who are really good at giving and like doing stuff for other people, but they have a hard time receiving for themselves and like just being open to, you know, all the good things that already have their name on it. And that was, you know, something that I had to work on for myself also. Quan, I am not booking calls for group coaching. So the way that my business works now, so I'll give you guys an idea of the way that it works now is I do my live streams. So I do live streams once a week, unless it's like a holiday or I'm out of town or whatever. And usually what I'll do is I send an email to my list, send a text message out so you guys know. And then I pre-record videos. So I do pre-recorded content for YouTube. Haven't recorded anything the last couple months, but I'll be working on those soon. And when I'm ready to host clients for a group coaching program, I'll do it as an internal launch, meaning like I email my list and I say, hey, this is what we're doing. I might mention it on Instagram a couple times here and there, but for the most part, it's going to be an email, or I might mention it on my live stream, but usually it's internal launching. And the reason I do that is because most of my clients who sign up with me for group coaching, they've already tested out like a smaller product or course or something like that. My group coaching programs are a higher investment, and they typically don't have a longer payment plan option. They're usually like full pay or split pay. Whereas if you sign up for a course or a mini course or a workshop or something like that, it's a lot easier investment. So once you do that, then you're on the email list. And then when I do a group coaching program, you'll be the first to know. Okay. All right, cool. I hope that answers your question. And I completely forgot that the title of this is from 0 to 65,000. So the $65,000 number, and I just put water on me. The $65,000 number is how much I earned in that very first year. So the very first full year, not like I started 12 months in October and then from October to October, like no, from January to December, because in that, from that October to December, I think I did like 20,000 maybe. Like not a lot. It might not even been that. I'll have to go back to the numbers and look, but it wasn't a lot. From January, so this is a tax year, from January to December of 2016, I did $65,000. And I did that with like these two hands, right? And this brain and all of my heart and determination, and knowing that what I needed to do was just to keep pushing and keep moving forward. I did my first $5,000 a month in April. So I started the business. Let me give you guys a timeline. I started the business in October. In November, I hired my very first coach. In January, I did very little. February, very little, but I was building up. She was teaching us how to launch. And in March, I did a launch. In April, I did my first $5,000 a month. And then from there, I realized that, okay, I'm weak in this area. So I need to learn this. And I started buying courses. I continued to invest in myself. I started buying courses and hiring mentors. And by July 2016, I had did my first, it's on the webinar. I did my first, I think it was 11,000 in July, because I booked a couple clients at 33. So 11,000 in July. And then I was like, okay, I was like, oh, I got it. I figured it out. So I made sure that everything was systematic and that it was ready to go. And then I did another 5-figure month in November, back to back 5-figure month in December. And since like after 2016, my income fluctuated a little bit. But I continued to increase. Like every year after that was like, it just kept going up. And this year will be obviously my best year yet. And I'm very, very excited about that. Even in the midst of, like, you can still earn in the midst of. What I talked to my mentor earlier this year, and she was like, what's your goal for this year? And I gave her my goal. And then a couple of months passed and, the world shut down. And I said, I'm still attached to my goal, because millionaires are created during times of crisis. Like, it doesn't matter what's happening in the world. Only thing that matters is what's happening in here. And if I'm still committed to what I want and I'm still willing to go after it, that's the only thing that matters. And so I just kept going. I kept pushing. I kept operating business as usual. And, money continued to flow in. And I'm very thankful for that and very happy with what I've built and what I've created. But once again, I started from zero, like literally started from nothing. And so I don't want you to think like, okay, from 2015 to 2020, it took her 5 years. Like, no, I generated income that very first year and even in the first couple of months. And you can absolutely do it too. I 100% believe that. And so last year in 2019, I decided to create a program that takes you through start to finish of what I did, how I got there, and all the individual pieces. So when I first created the program, it's called Create and Fill Your Coaching Program, and it's currently on sale for half off. When I first started the program, I only taught like how to create your coaching program and then how to enroll clients. It was like a 2-part workshop. And then I was like, but this is not all that I did. I also worked on my branding, and I worked on my voice, and I worked on my mindset, and I worked on my sales strategies, and I learned how to launch. And so I essentially created a start to finish for you inside of the course. Okay. So, and Reggie says, who is your mentor? I have several mentors, like in all different areas. So it's not just one. Allison says, what about one-on-one clients? When, if at any time, will you be taking those? I do have one-on-one client options. Let me finish going through the program. Actually, I'll just answer this question. So I do have one-on-one client options. My one-on-one is limited to like 3 clients. And I actually just had a couple clients that finished up at the start of September. So if you just go to LaTishaStyles.com and click private coaching, you'll see all the details there. Okay. Quan says, you're raising my vibration with your story. Awesome. I'm very excited to hear that. So inside of Create and Fill, the very first thing that you get is the energy of a fully booked coach. So I take you through that process. Like, what was it like for me starting a coaching business, going from offering consulting to offering workshops to now I want to do a coaching business where I'm actually teaching and coaching people and charging high ticket prices. Like I remember when I raised my rates to $33.33, and then from there I raised them to $4,500, and then from there I went to $10,000, and I booked clients at every level. Like, what was that for me energetically? Like, how was I able to even do that? So I share that in module 1. Then module 2, I go into branding. So let's talk about your website, your messaging, why clients should work with you, like all those basics there. Then in module 3, I go into actually creating the coaching program. So if you don't have a program already, we talk about how to actually create it. Then, and if you do, it's a great opportunity to go through it because I also share samples of other coaching programs, including pricing and how we kind of mind map it out. Then in module 4, we go into actually enrolling the clients in. And so I talk about where to find clients. I talk about how to, start the conversation. I give you a client outreach script if you want to actually reach out to people who you think are a good fit. I tell you how to start that conversation and like what to say based on how they respond. And then module 5 goes into launching. So I share with you my launch process, how to actually open the doors, how to launch your coaching program, how to tell people you're, open for business, and how to actually get clients. And I also give you like unconventional launch methods that you probably haven't tried and ways to reach out to people. And then in module 6, we talk about sales strategies. So once you get someone on the phone, what is that strategy? How do you actually chat with them and all of that? I think that's it. I was only supposed to be on for like 20 minutes. So what happens when you get me started with telling stories, that's what happens. I start really going into it. And so I guess the last thing, if you guys have any questions or anything else that you'd like to ask, I'm really an open book. Like I said, I share a lot because I feel like no one ever really shares like the behind the scenes. Like they're never really fully open with it. And I just want to be open and honest with you guys because, I've seen people who they come out and they're like, my very first year I made, 6 figures. And I'm like, no, I didn't make 6 figures my very first year, but I made $65,000 and I'm darn proud of that. Right. And then like you go check and they're like, well, but I spent this much on ads. And you're like, oh, okay. Well, that's how you got there. Right. So, I've done a lot of digging, when people come out with like, income claims and things like that, like I've done some digging and I found what I've discovered is that there's definitely a way for you to make more when you have certain package levels. So like a lot of people who got started, who they were like, I made 6 figures my very first year. One person, she was like, I made 6 figures my very first year. She actually quit her job and then her former employer hired her on as a contractor. So it's like, well, you had a 6-figure job and then they just decided to give you a 6-figure contract. So that's like, this is like not really the same, but I don't want to take anything away from you. So, okay, good job. And then somebody else, did six figures, but then they were charging like $5,000 for their coaching packages. And I'm like, okay, great. Like mentally, I wasn't there yet. I was only at, in a mentally upper place for, to charge $800. So, everyone's journey is different and everyone's personality is different, and your journey is your journey. But regardless of what your journey is, the most important thing is just to start. Like take that first step. Yes, sign with clients for private coaching is like we just have a chat via Messenger. So, we can be chatting today, like via Facebook Messenger or Instagram DM or whatever it is. We don't have to get on the phone, and, you tell me more about what your current struggles are and where you'd like to go. And if I determine that I can help you and I feel like we'd be a good fit working together, then I'll make you an invitation and we can get started. You're very welcome, Chantel. Wanting to coach businesses with their marketing strategy, but I feel like I need to offer digital marketing before I can consult in this area. So I've been trying to start an agency. Can you comment on this? Yeah, my comment is to do what you want from the start. Don't feel like you have to get ready to get ready. So let me just clarify this because I don't know your exact situation. So let me just tell you from my personal experience. And I don't know if you were here for the whole thing, but if I would have waited to say, well, I need to have a successful blog, successful for me, meaning like it was a full-time income. Like I need to have a successful blog before I can help anybody with their blog. Then I wouldn't be where I am now. Like I wouldn't have just started. So that's what I mean. Like, don't worry about getting ready to get ready, just start. However, if you don't have any knowledge in it, then yeah, absolutely. Like learn what you need to learn. And that's why I said, let me just clarify it for a little bit. My assumption is that you probably know more than the businesses that you want to help. Like most businesses I've learned. So let me go back just a little bit before I finish my sentence. So my husband's the talker of the family, which you would know after this whole hour-long conversation, but he's the one that's like, he'll chat anybody up. So we were going into certain businesses in Memphis, like just, walking in like the automotive shop, for example, get our car done. And he would start talking to the owners of these businesses, people behind the counter, whatever. And they had zero clue, like zero clue about online marketing. And he would be like, yeah, my wife does, online marketing. They'd be like, really? Like, yeah, here's my card. Contact me. And he got me like 3 or 4 leads. And I was like, but I don't want to do that. I want to coach. So point number 1, do what you want to do from the start. I wanted to coach. I didn't want to do an agency. So I decided to coach. Point number 2, don't worry about getting ready to get ready. Point number 3, you probably know a lot more than the local businesses that you want to help, depending on what type of business owners you want to help. Okay. And number 4, I'll say this, like, just don't like overstate your skills or where you can actually help, just do it based on what what you're confident in and just go from there.